Welcome, 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 welcome. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever I'm reaching you in the world. Hello, and welcome to the Liverpool 12th Man Show. I'm Liverpool 12th Man, and today we're going to go into what I mean by the next man up mentality. It's something that I've spoken on in a couple of different forums and couple of different episodes as well. Big up John Conway, always a loyal one for sure. Appreciate that. True Red for sure. Big up to JK. Big up JK. Big up JK for sure. I have been really getting into a lot of what I mean by the next man up mentality. And what I meant by that is that the next man up mentality, at least in my conception of it, it means if a player goes down, even though you might not be expected to be the starter, or you might not expect it to be you're not the star on the team, or you're not the pivotal player that everyone is expecting to see in the lineup. It's your turn. It's your moment. It's your opportunity, and it means a lot to take on that opportunity when you have it at hand. So, a lot of what we're seeing today is exactly that with this club, and that is next man up mentalities. Whether it's Connor Bradley, whether it's Owen Beck, whether it's Gomez, whether it's been Endo, whether it's been Cody, whoever, Gravenberch, all these people, all these guys, Kwanzaa, all these players have all had this opportunity to have a next man up opportunity, and that means something that is pivotal, excuse me, pivotal, and that's a little bit of a mouthful, in getting us over the line. And that's something that we have to recognize, and something that I would like to definitely speak on today. We're also going to talk about what we heard about in the actual press conference today for our Kaiser, Jurgen Klopp. I watched it. I watched it actually 2-3 times over to make sure it wasn't that long of a segment, so it wasn't that hard. It wasn't difficult to do. But I wanted to make sure I got down some of the notes, some of the things that it got into. I'd love to hear your takes from it. I mean, it wasn't really super incredible with depth, of like information per se, other than the fact that our Kaiser definitely understands that Luton, he is impressed and admires the job that is being done at Luton, and he also, like myself, acknowledges the fact that they are a formidable team. Every team in the league is a formidable team to impress on a given day. So we're not going to take them lightly, and we're also not going to be someone that doesn't acknowledge the fact that they are a team that needs to be reckoned with. We do have Brian in the house too, so I'm going to bring Brian in right now. Big up, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good evening. Just rushing back from a visit. So just sitting in there now. Missed a lot of football stuff today. Missed the press conference stuff.
Okay. So I guess I could update you a little bit on what went down. I see Cedric in the house. Cedric Lopez, definitely a loyal Red, true Red for sure in my eyes. Today, so basically in the press conference today, basically Klopp just went over the injuries, updated some of the injuries. Didn't really go too in depth with what with timelines on the actual injuries. So that was something I was hoping that we would hear today, which was we expect this player back for this date, or we expect this first player back for that date. He didn't really give that kind of information. He just said, who's out and who not to expect for at least Luton. And then he also gave a lot of spent some time on praising Luton, I guess, and acknowledging the fact that they are doing well this year, despite the fact of not being a championship team. And most times championship teams, especially newly promoted championship teams, are expected to go right back down to the championship, or at least be trying to contend with staying out of that relegation line. So it was something of, I appreciate the fact that he's not overlooking this as, looking past this date.
No, he's not that kind of manager. He's a next
Yeah.
game is the most important game kind of manager.
Yeah.
And anybody who's watched them will know. I mean, they gave us a hell of a time down at Kenilworth Road early on in the season there. I think it was at the time probably our biggest disappointment, or maybe we had a couple of dodgy performances before that, but that was a bit of a shock when they pretty much locked us up until, what was it, nearly 80 minutes when Diaz popped up. Pretty late on. So we've seen what they can do. We've seen what they can do, and I think they've only gotten better since then. I think the fact that their main goal scorer guy is Adebayo, the fact that he's out, it's going to hurt them. But I think they've improved massively. I think that guy Alfie Doughty is brilliant.
Okay.
So I don't think, not a not a match to kind of take the 3 points from before you play it. They could.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the game, but they played brilliantly against Man United. They got 4 goals up at St. James's Park. So underestimate these boys at your peril. But that Adebayo injury, that is a bit of a kicker for them. That's good for us. Very much.
Mm-hmm.
That is good for us.
I'm going to stay on topic, but I will answer this question real quick, this update or this comment by Honesty. Because you know what? Because I was reading a couple articles on this. Because right now, let me go blank on his name. Ashworth, right? Isn't that his name? Dan Ashworth, I want to say his name is.
That's the guy, yeah.
All right. He is the Newcastle sporting director. It looks like Manchester United is going to try to make a run for him and his services. And I know that what I was reading was. The comment here says Liverpool are interested in signing Mark Gahey this summer, but bid will depend on sporting director and manager appointments. That should be interesting. The only reason why I'm bringing the whole Dan Ashworth thing up is because I also read that Manchester United is looking to bring him in as the sporting director because he's taken it was the first time I really even heard this term, but it's called a garden leave, right?
It's gardening leave. It's when basically when they put it's a posh suspension. It means you can't work. They pay your wages, but you don't come into work because they know you're potentially leaving.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to anybody else. You can't leave your job. You can't quit. But you're not allowed to take up any other jobs.
Right.
So that's why they call it gardening leave. It's it's an old English, very typical English, polite way of saying, "Oh, he's on gardening leave." He's being poached by another company, and we're not letting him back in the door, so he can be. He's not taking those secret files with him. He's at home tending his roses. Do not let this man in the building. Right. It's a very English way of saying it's very posh and polite.
Yeah. They
said like still getting paid to not work. It's a hard life, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, they call it like this. It's a severance package, basically, is what we call it here in America, at least. But
no. The gardening leave thing is to stop him working.
Right.
It's so that he can't work. It means you're not allowed to take point until they decide to let him go. It means he can no longer. It basically says he's no longer welcome at Newcastle, kind of in his role.
Right.
Until, so it's basically a way of locking someone up at home.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't work for United. He can't work for anybody. And then when they work out whatever, like they're asking 20 million quid for the guy. But you can put someone like it's happened before to a few managers. But you can put someone like that out of work for a year where they just can't take another job. Because it's company secrets and this kind of stuff where they think after a year the plans will have changed. But it's quite restrictive. Like when they pull that one on you, it's a big deal because this guy only came in there a year and a bit ago,
right?
And it cost him a lot of money to get him out of Brighton, I'd imagine.
Right. I think that's the reason why this comment, and it's something I read too. Newcastle are pissed about it. They want a compensation of at least 20 million. And I know that it could be anywhere from up to 20 million. And I think the article I was reading is like it'll most likely, depending on when he does eventually leave, it could be as low as 10 million. But they do definitely they want
they
something
have
back.
him. Yeah, they have him locked into a deal where he can't take another job until 2024, 20 or
Okay.
2025.
2025, right?
If they don't want to let him, like they can just place him on gardening, and
Leave
he's
until
left on.
2025. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can get someone else in to do the job that he was doing, but they can just leave him in professional limbo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so like the idea is basically by the time in a year's time, he won't know enough about your inner workings anymore to be able to hurt you. Whereas if you,
Mhm.
yeah, it is. It's 2 years, so it must be 2026. I forget what fucking year we're in. Sorry, keep it real. That's what I was saying.
We gotta keep it real.
So they can just stop him, and because they can say right in a year's time. But if he was to like, say start at Man United tomorrow, he'll have all information on Newcastle's transfer plans and budgets and all of that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So it's messy. It's really, really messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bad move from United.
Which United? Newcastle or Manchester?
Oh, sorry, Man United. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay. I don't
Just
want to do
go
any.
get
I don't
somebody.
want to do any. I don't want to do any. Like, I know that often United is looked at as Manchester United, but I mean, I also
Yeah,
Newcastle United. I don't want to. I'm not showing
yeah.
any disrespect to Newcastle whatsoever. So I want
It
to make
just seems
sure.
like an awful lot of hassle. I mean, go and get someone else. That doesn't cost you 20 million quid and doesn't cause a huge big drama. It's
Brian,
yeah.
this is for you. This is for you, Brian. By the way.
Sure will.
You sure will.
Mm.
I know. I'm going to be making myself a Gordon Ramsay. I got I got a recipe for a Gordon Ramsay burger actually. Since we were just talking so much about burgers yesterday, I ended up like looking up how to make that burger that I liked so much. So I'm going to try my attempt at it tonight. We'll see how
Cool.
it goes. We'll see how it goes. um, and JK is saying football has gone mad. They will have a transfer window deadline day special for sporting directors and agents and coaches soon. That's not a bad shout, to be honest with you. It's not a real bad shout. There's about as much. What's funny about this, Brian, is that there's about as much attention as to who will be our next coach as there is who will be our next sporting director. Because you want to have both of those things appointed.
Yeah, they're so famous now. They're so well known.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you didn't really know who these people were unless you kind of made a point of finding out.
Yeah. Sometimes back in the day, they weren't even. It wasn't even a position.
No. You had people who did certain things. Yeah, and it was all behind the scenes. But nowadays, like the fact that if anybody has anything to do with the players that your club might be signing,
Mm-hmm.
then they're big news now. Oh, he's the guy who brings the players in. Big news.
Mm-hmm.
Big money. This kind of thing. 20 million quid for for a sporting director. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's more than we paid for. That's more than we paid. That's double what we paid for Andy Robertson.
Hey, that's more than we paid for. That's more than we paid for Endo. Like Manchester United need help. I mean, you can say what you want to say about Amrabat or Casemiro, but I mean, like, they definitely could utilize a significant DM, and like they're about to spend more on their sporting director than we did for our DM, which is pretty interesting.
Never know. Maybe he can play 6.
Maybe he's got some hidden talents. Keep it real saying the AC Milan director of football is also on his gardening leave. He brought lots of talent, top talent to Milan. Okay.
And Pulisic.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's gonna be that kind of show. It's cool because you did bring up something about the guy right here. So like, we're gonna have a little topic at the end of the show about Lucho, and I don't know if you've ever seen that show. Everyone Hates Chris. It's like a show about Chris Rock's life growing up.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, I think I saw it back in the day once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have a feeling like that's kind of the concept that goes on with Lucho. Everyone hates Lucho. I mean, I don't, but I mean, like, I know that it's just some of the like, just the just some of the things that have been said. But we'll get into that later on. We'll get into that later on. This shows is going to basically be an update for a lot of the things that Klopp said in the press conference, but also, again, he didn't really say much in the press conference. He didn't really miss much at all.
No, that's the one thing I did hear. The one thing I did hear was people complaining about the fact that he didn't say anything. It's kind of it.
Right,
Like, for
right,
once, they were complaining about the fact that journalists didn't ask him questions, as opposed to
right.
the usual complaining about the questions they asked him. There
Mm-hmm,
must have been some kind of, yeah. It must have been like off the record or something.
mm-hmm. Yep, yep. There must have been some comments off the record. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it seems weird that they wouldn't ask him about certain things. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems weird. I
I
was
think
just
that
waiting for later comments or something, later interview, or the
I mean,
embargo.
like, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Look, it's difficult to be a journalist. That's where my degree is in. So, like, it's difficult to be a journalist simply because you have to establish relationships with people, and establishing those relationships. If you write bad articles, obviously, James Pierce, right? He was very well ingratiated with a lot of like inner goings and really well tied with Liverpool for a while. And then he had a falling out because he leaked some news that he wasn't supposed to leak apparently or something, and
Well, he left
other
Liverpool as
things.
well.
Go ahead.
He left Liverpool as well. He left the Echo and went to the Athletic.
Mhm.
So he lost a lot of his Liverpool connections. But him and Klopp have certainly clashed on more than one occasion.
Mhm. No, and like, yeah, they have for sure.
Yeah, he'd be like one of like he's there like because he would have been there the day when Klopp got here. He was at the Echo, see, so he would have been here from day one. Like Klopp will be dealing with James Pierce a lot, so it's
Right.
no. I'm not surprised they fell out a few times, but yeah, there was he did get blamed for a few things, and there was a lot of muck thrown around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I know. And honestly, dropping. I like it. I love that some of the Mighty Red Army here is like all like they keep us in tune with what's breaking news. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Um, some breaking news. I'm going to include some of the breaking news that's been put into the chat by Honesty. But you're right. I know that the move from the Echo to the Athletic, that's what you're saying, is possibly some of the reasons why he's lost some of his some of the ties that he had. But
yeah.
also, I was just going to say also with journalism sometimes too, like as in you want to be critical, you want to be like as it's difficult. It's really difficult because like I know having friends in this industry or that play the game still or are connected to or might tell me something this, as you said, off the record, but you don't want to necessarily, it's in the back of your mind and you might want to say something, but you just can't. It's very, very difficult to hold those loyalties and to, when you do have loyalties to your own, to your fan bases or to your supporters out there that tune in and expect you to like really give them the 411 or the information, excuse me. 411 is like a term here in America for like info, but yeah, it's intriguing what was not said, I guess, in that he didn't really, he mentioned, for instance, Ali, and he didn't really give any bit of like, oh, I mean, Ali's injury was a muscle injury, but he didn't exactly say, oh, it's this kind of injury. The one thing he did say was, who was it for too? It was like it was Curtis Jones, I think. And he said it was something like a ligament, something to deal with a ligament. He didn't say ligament tear, but he said something about a ligament pull or tear or something along those lines. It was dealing with a ligament. And that kind of made me go, oh no, that's not, anything ligament is not good. It's not a good, it's not, I rather hear like, oh, he twisted his ankle, or it's like it's a sprain. He sprained his knee or something, and it's just like fluid on his knee that he needs to like ice and get down. But when you hear ligaments, you're like, ooh, that's not what you want to hear.
No, and I know Klopp as well doesn't like talking about these things sometimes because that English just isn't his first language. Sometimes he just uses one word, like the wrong word, and people get him completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I know sometimes he can be a bit kind of basic. He doesn't want to try and explain things too much. But it just seemed like it was kind of a given what we already knew, and there was no kind of direct questions. But I think we know Dom's out, Trent's out, Jota's out, Nunes out, Ali's out, Trent is out, Jota's out. We don't know about Salah. That was the only one. There didn't seem to be a question asking whether Mo was good or not, was there?
Well, so all right, so I'll give you the full rundown because I have the full updated list of all the things, and then I have a question too about the Luton game too. But I'll give you the list as well. So the Liverpool injury list is obviously Thiago, muscular, projected comeback unknown. Trent, lateral knee ligament damage. Projected comeback is March of 2024, obviously. Let's see. Alisson Becker, hamstring damage. His projected comeback date is unknown because he didn't mention that at all in there. Bajcetic, injury unspecified. It just has projected comeback date of a spring 20. It doesn't even say a month. It just says a season. So that's not good. It says spring 2024. So that is what it is. Obviously, we already know about Ben Doak. Ben Doak has a lateral meniscus tear. We won't be seeing him most likely until next year. Curtis Jones. So this is what it was called. It says it was bone ligament damage for Curtis Jones. I wish we had Chris Angel in the house to kind of give us a rundown of what that exactly, means, or what kind of like what exactly that is, what kind of recovery to expect from that, or or such and such. But it's the injury is a bone ligament damage. He has bone ligament damage, and his projected comeback is unknown. I know I saw there was like it says Klopp said the midfielder had a bone ligament issue and would definitely miss the February 21st league game against Luton Town. He is not likely to be fit for the Carabao Cup final on February 25th, but it's still a question mark. Diego, obviously, it's the knee injury. His projected comeback is unknown. Klopp later confirmed the forward would be facing months out of action rather than weeks, which is unsettling to hear. Matip, we already know about. Obviously, he's expected to actually his projected comeback or projected return date is March 2024. Real quick, do you think we're going to see Matip again this year?
That's a new one on me. I don't know. The one I was more interested in, I don't think Jota is going to play again this season. I thought Matip was pretty much in the same boat.
Right.
So
okay. My fault. It says August 24th. I messed up. My fault. It does say he has an ACL, but it originally said March. Now it says August 2024. Dominic is March 24th too, by the way. That's why.
So that's maybe like we're hoping for even that's close. That doesn't sound like City is what, the 30th of February, 1st of March, something like that.
Yeah, City, I think it's March 10th, I want to say.
Okay. Well, maybe then. Maybe. I don't. So then you're talking about maybe not Jones either.
Yeah.
I know. I'd like to see. I'd like to see at least Salah and Dom 100% fit by the time we play City. Maybe Trent, but it doesn't look like Jones or Jota will be in that boat. And who else are we missing?
Chris Angel is in the house, by the way.
Yeah, he is there.
Very good. Chris, if you if you can, I mean, I don't know if you have time to speak on it, or you can just say, you can show in the chat, or you can come on to the show if you want. I can send you a link. But I was going to ask you, what exactly is a bone ligament. What is bone ligament damage, and what kind of like turnaround and what kind of like injury is exactly? You can give us a little bit more precise. Okay, I'll send you the link in 2 seconds. But yes, but Brian also, well, I'll do this. I'll multitask here. Dominic is said to be March 2024, like we're just speaking on. He says Szoboszlai was injured on the in the Chelsea match. The midfielder missed Liverpool's subsequent 3 games and is not expected to return before the Carabao Cup final on February 25th. Klopp said Dom has a chance, that's quote unquote, of being fit for the match at Wembley, but he is unlikely to take any undue risks. As of February 20th, he has not returned to the team training. So that's that. Let me get this chat. We get this over to because I'd like to know that too. You know what else too, Brian? So are you going to be? I know. Let's not talk about how you watch your games because I know how you watch your games. I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but but there is apparently because of certain restrictions and the moving around of the game, and some of our UK participants can maybe like weigh in on this too a little bit. But I'll give what happened. So it says the Reds blah 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 match. Okay, so the Reds' progression to the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea necessitated the rescheduling, leaving the match outside the purview of broadcaster Sky Sports or TNT Sports. Consequently, the fixture falls victim to the blackout period, preventing it from being televised, echoing the fate of Manchester City versus Brentford, a match also displaced due to prior commitments.
Yeah.
So, so what is are you going to be? Is it a blackout for you too?
Well, there's a channel in Ireland called Premier Sports, and you can watch that if you live in Ireland. It's part of a satellite dish package, and they can show one 3:00 game. So basically, yeah, the 3:00 blackout is 3:00 blackout. It's for the UK channels, but so if I didn't watch, like, say, foreign channels, yeah, you wouldn't be able to watch. So any game, this is because of these double game weeks and blank game weeks. We've had to be put into slots, and ordinarily, yeah, they would have been these are rearranged matches, and rearranged matches can often end up in that. But if it's an English broadcaster, UK broadcaster, yep, that's it. You cannot show a 3:00 game. Like I said, we get that thing in Ireland where they can show just one. And it's not always like over here. The Forest game will be on Irish TV. The Man United game the week before. That's just a one-off game thing that we can watch. But unfortunately, yeah, if it's 3:00, no go, no dice. Got to watch your American TV or whatever else you want to get hooked up to.
Okay, that's pretty bootleg, to be honest with you.
Well, it's what they do. Look, it's this idea that they got, and no one has ever proven whether it works or not. But the whole idea is, if the match is on telly, then people won't go to the local game at 3:00, and they'll stay at home, watch TV on football instead. That's the whole idea. So who knows? Who knows if it works or not? But like we spoke about before, fans in Ireland pay a huge amount of money, up to €1,000, which would be maybe like $1,100-1,200 a year, just for access to Sky and TNT. And then any game that's at 3:00, they can't watch them. So it's kind of messed up. I mean, imagine trying to sell that to somebody, but like nowadays, say you sell them a product, but 50-60% of it is not available to you. You won't be able to access it. For that kind of money, you'd expect to be able to watch whatever the hell match you wanted to watch, but no, that's just one of those quirks of life.
Okay, I'm gonna bring in Chris. Chris has joined us for our medical expert is with us today. Big up, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's up, guys?
All right, Chris.
Are you researching bone ligament
No, it's
damage
not.
or?
No, I have this like updated list of the injuries
Hmm.
from. It says the website's called Premier Injuries, and
Hmm.
it tells
Yeah.
me the estimate date of when they're returning and stuff like that. But I haven't seen. Where did you see the bone ligament? Who's that
Bone
for?
ligament. I'd have to pull up the site that I use. There's a site also. Daz Reynolds. I forget what site it's called. Like injury report. It
Yeah,
was called now.
because bone ligament is very like
But that's what he said on the actual. That's what Klopp said
it's
in
Yeah,
very
the
that's what I was saying about his first language not being English. Sometimes he says weird, jumbled up things like that. He won't. Yeah, that
yeah,
won't
it's
be the
very
exact.
weird. Like bone ligament can mean
Yeah,
anything because you know the ligaments are they're
all attached to the bone. Right.
yeah. Well, no, actually, ligaments are attached to the joints.
Okay.
So anywhere you have
While you're
joints,
here.
you have ligaments and stuff. So that's
Right.
very vague and stuff. But
Mhm.
based on the injury and what we saw, it looked more like a high sprained knee. No, a high sprained ankle injury because of the like where the tackle was, where the impact was. So
Mhm.
maybe he's talking about the ligaments around the ankle, maybe. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, man. Saying bone ligaments kind of very vague and stuff. I don't. It can be any part of the body. So yeah, that's weird.
Oh, yeah. That's what it says. I mean, let me see if I can pull up. I can pull it up
Or it says
where I
okay.
got
So for
that info from.
Curtis Jones, I see right here. I see it says okay. February 20th, Curtis with a bone ligament issue ruled out. There's no potential return date. Reason ankle/foot injury ruled out. There's no potential return
Mhm.
date for that. Um, what else do I see here?
This was off of my source, or the source I used was the Sporting News. The Sporting News gave it.
On
This is a
Darwin,
publication, online
Darwin is a
publication.
condition is late fitness test. He's on 50% status. So Bosley, as it apparently is a thigh injury. Potential return for so Bosley is the 25th of February, apparently, but I doubt that. Trent is apparently a knee injury. Potential
Mhm.
return is March 10th.
that's the City game.
Yeah, and then Allison Becker, which this one to me, if it's true, wow. Thigh injury, potential return March 31st. That's 2 months, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, it's like
Yeah.
it's about
A month and a
that's a
half.
long
Like
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
about
it's
a
a
month and
long
a half.
time. That's a bit
Yeah.
worrying for me. Um, Diego Jota apparently ruled out and stuff, so we won't see for me. We won't see him until next season and
Mhm.
stuff because
probably not.
you have to consider, let's say for example, piece because it doesn't really say what type of injury he has, but based on the hyperextension, it should be a PCL because it buckled backwards. So let's say 2 months. 2 months, you have to rescan the knee to see if everything is okay. Then you have to start getting back into shape with individual training. Yeah, it won't be. He won't. There's no point in rushing him back at that point and stuff that late in the season. And then Matip,
No, he ain't back. He won't play
he's
for
not
us.
back. We won't see him again.
No,
Like
he won't play for Liverpool.
he won't play for Liverpool again because apparently the potential date is September 1st.
Never.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's a very tricky situation and stuff. But the good thing is that I don't see Salah on this list. And apparently there was rumors about Salah being injured. I don't see him on this list.
Yeah,
So
I
that
thought he had a bad reaction, but I was expecting that. He came back and he played it longer than they wanted to him. I was like, well, pretty obvious he's probably going to be sore. or a bit stiff
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
I think that's all it was.
Hoffman, do you have any news on Darwin Nunes on your side from where
Oh,
you're
you know
looking at?
what? So that's a very excellent question. Nunez was, I don't think Nunez was listed. Let me double check though. So I have Thiago,
Because I know they were.
Trent.
'Cause I know they said like he was
Um,
something during the game. Correct? If I'm correct, guys, right? That's the reason why we
yeah,
pulled.
yeah.
Okay.
Thiago, then Bishetic, um, Van Dijk, Curtis Jones, Diego, and Joel, Dominic, and that's it. They don't have an update. I can find out an update for it, but I don't have an update for Darwin Nunez. Find out right now if the other site that I use has an update on it. Let's see. But yeah, those things are okay. I do have one. I'll pull this up real quick and see what you think. It should be. I can understand the not seeing Matip. I think that we are going to give him. I think we're going to give him an extension. To be honest, I think we're give him like a year extension. I don't necessarily know if it means that we'll never see him again as a Liverpool Red, but I don't think we're going to. I don't believe that we're going to just let him go the way a lot of people have him leaving.
And
that's not to be. I know. I already see your face.
No, but it's not. It's
I
not
think he wants to go.
It's not even like.
I think he wants to leave. I think he wants to go and get a 4-year deal somewhere, not a 1-year deal off Liverpool.
So
I think he wants.
That's the thing, right? So if Klopp was staying, that for me,
Maybe
he would extend him.
What team is going to give him a 4-year deal or a 3 deal coming off of an injury like that?
He can go back to Germany. He can go back to Italy or something like
up a little
that.
bit. Go ahead.
He can go to Germany. He can go to Italy, like leagues that are a bit more slower in pace and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? He can go back to Schalke. That's the club that kind of like, gave him faith and stuff and made his career in a way before he came
proves
here.
himself. He could get like he's not going to get a 4-year contract at a Bayern Munich or something, but he could easily get a 3-year. He could go to Saudi. Like he definitely get a Saudi deal. But I think I'm with Chris. I think a new manager. Yeah, I think that kind of kills it. The chance. Yeah, there was a chance if Klopp was here, but I reckon a new manager might be thinking, no, let's free up a space and free up a wage for a younger player, like bringing himself.
Yeah, it's like no hard feelings on Matip. It's the situation. It's just the situation we're in for the future. There's uncertainty. So there's uncertainty in the manager, sporting director, and then in regards to signing a new contract, like that's probably like the last thing in the club's mind is extending Matip's contract. You know what I mean? So.
Because at his age, we would offer him a much lower reduced deal. Like he could get, even if he got a 2-year deal in whatever top level league, he could probably earn, double up. So he's got to make that money before he retires. He's only got a few years. What is he, 32 now?
Yeah.
So it's the classic one last big contract, if he can get it.
He'll be walking on a free, so he'll get a little bit higher wages in a way.
Nice little bonus signing on fee, couple of million quid, and then higher wages. So Liverpool, I think, be last thing maybe on his mind. I think it's a real perfect parking. Klopp is going.
Or you never know as well, right? He can retire as well,
this was a bad one, wasn't it? And at his age,
ruthless.
No, but it's like as well, right? You got to give. I'm assuming Matip has a team behind him, right? Has his own personal team behind him. They probably like an ACL at his age isn't. It's a serious injury.
No, I'm not being ruthless. I'd put money on that. If you ask Matip what his preferred plan would be to leave, would be to go and get a new club and a new deal rather than a 1-year. I'm almost certain that would be his plan, not just anyone. This is not kicking him out the door. It's just watching football for as long as we have him. This is what happens. Players get to the age 32, 33, they're on a free transfer. Like you say, off the back of a bad injury. I don't see like we spoke about, Klopp had to get the club to go outside of their usual way of doing things to bring in a player of Endo's age. So giving a new deal to a Matip's age, I think that might be difficult. But Klopp might have been able to swing it. But a new manager will look at that as wages he can free up and a space that he can bring in. But again, it's no slight on Matip. It's just the natural progression of what always kind of tends to happen. I just think, like you say, after a year out with an ACL, Klopp leaving, your contract is up. It's very late in the day. If we are going to be offering him a new deal, it's extremely late in the day.
And you got to think about it as well, right, Brian? Like, it's like you're forcing a player on a manager. Like, he's on a free. Technically, he walks for free. So a new manager coming in might have a different vision. At the end of the day, that's a spot that he can bring in.
I think you're looking from the wrong perspective.
That's a body that he takes it. That's a spot.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So
no, I get that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm sorry, I know I was freezing up a little bit. I might not. Hopefully, I'm not lagging because the website I pulled up for the Darwin stuff was like taking up a lot of I guess RAM or something. But hopefully, I'm not lagging.
No, but like the humane thing to do, right? The humane, you never walk alone, should be to keep him. But logically speaking, like when you look at where we're at for the next couple of months, I see it very hard for Liverpool to extend him. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
No, I just think like we're not a club that drags our heels on things. If he was getting a new deal, we'd know about it. Don't we? Won't
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I think we're. Yeah. Right. Go ahead. Finish point. Brian. I'm sorry.
No, and also, Jen, this is one of those ones where I don't like getting into this because this is about what a player wants to do next in his career, and I'm not in Joel Matip's head. Joel Matip could have said, "No, with me and the wife and the kids, we made a plan."
Yeah.
We made a plan. When my time is up, I'm going to go back to. I still have my house in wherever, and she has her family there. Or he could have said, "We've always had a plan now to maybe get one of those Qatar deals or something, go out and live in the Middle East for a couple of years." Or if he says, "No, I really hope to stay at Liverpool," then fine. But that really is a kind of a, it's asking us to think what Matip wants to do with his life.
Right.
But I just think logistically, I think it'd be on the table. The deal would be on. We wouldn't be kind of leaving him dangling. There'd be a deal on the table for him by now. And Klopp would have gotten it done as a kind of a sign-off, thank you thing. Mm-hmm. But hey, look, it's all that's a pure hypothetical one for me. If he stays, no worries. But if he gets that deal that he loves and he's happy with and he wants, thanks for everything you've done, and you'll always be a bit of a legend here, and that's just life, isn't it? Players leave.
Mm-hmm. And I get it. Like I see the comments in the chat. JK says I'm letting Matip leave this summer. Alexander says keeping Matip doesn't make sense. Let's see. I get those comments, and I understand Chris's comments and Brian's comments as well. Those are logical takes and very business minded takes as well. I just know that Klopp did make that comment about FSG was determined to do the more heartfelt, I guess you could call it, or like the more, as Chris put it, the whole "you'll never walk alone" kind of aspect of it. Knowing that get a player coming off that kind of injury, it's going to be very difficult for him to find another team.
If he can't find a club, now that's different. If he's left without a club, that'll be different. That's another thing that we don't know. Yeah, that'll be a different scenario.
Right. I'm not going to speculate either here or there. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. And what I was also going to say is that us not having a sporting director currently, and us not having even a coach really nailed down, all these things are reasons why the Matip thing could be still in somewhat limbo, because if a coach comes in and says, I definitively don't want this player on, I want that spot for another person, then maybe the club says, okay, we'll work with you on that. or maybe the sporting director says that, or there's other angles that could be taken.
Oh, I agree with the fact that there's someone. That's why I was saying I think that because he knew this was happening, Klopp might have got it done for him before he left. You know what I mean? As a kind of a thank you job. That's that I was kind of thinking, because that's what I was saying. I know we can't do any of that stuff now. We don't have someone to do those deals. So that's what I was kind of thinking if it was going to happen. But anyway, yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to make or break us either way. But hopefully, whatever works out for him.
Also, here's the quote that you wanted, Chris, as well. Let's put that in there. Darwin, we took. So this is a quote from Klopp. He says, "Darwin, we took off because he felt really a little bit. He felt really a little. Felt okay. Let me repeat that. Let me start over. It says, quote, Darwin, we took off because he felt really a little, but that was obviously today enough to immediately push the brake, and that's what we did. So we took him off and brought Cody on, and that worked out really well." Klopp said. On Tuesday, Klopp said news about his fitness was not great. So he was very. I know, and this is what Brian brought up earlier. In the that's why I was like, let me rewind and play this all over.
Fitness, yeah. Okay. So fitness pretty much. So then you hold them. You just hold them for. Like, you don't play them in the Luton game. You hold them and you monitor him. Yeah. And then we revalue again on Saturday or Friday.
Right.
That's just the way it is. At the end of the day, there's no reason to force a player to play. Like, we have a lot more games to play this season. We can't risk them. Like, I know a lot of people are saying that the Luton game is important, or people are saying to debunk the final, which is kind of crazy for me to hear. People are saying forget about the final, focus on the league. Winning the league is not guaranteed, so I don't understand that mindset, but whatever. But yeah, we should with the quality we have in the squad, we should be able to beat Luton and stuff. That's just my perspective.
Yeah.
If we don't beat Luton, this is the negative side coming in now. If we don't beat Luton, then we shouldn't win the title, in my opinion. That's just the way I'm seeing it right now. So let's go with the players that we have. I think we have a lot of quality in certain positions. Let's go get this win. I don't care if it's a 1-0 or a 5-4. In the last minute, we win the winner. As long as we win, let's win. Let's win. No players come out injured or anything, and then we move on to Sunday for the final and stuff. And that's just the way we got to look at it nowadays. Just take every game as it is, recover, rehab correctly. Hopefully, fingers crossed, players come back sooner than they're projected to come back, and then we just do that and stuff. That's just, I can't consciously look down a game 4 weeks from now and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people talking about the City game. We're not even there yet, man. A lot can happen before then and stuff. So,
you know what? Too, this is another. You know what? Shoot, I should have looked this up too. There was no update on the source I used. There was no update for Salah.
Yeah, because that Salah thing, I remember. So it was spoken about like a couple of days ago, but I felt like Salah debunked it because everyone was talking about it. Like, it was
he showed a picture of himself running
and laughing and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was like a report that came out in Egypt, and then apparently, everyone was like, "Oh, it comes from Egypt." So but at the end of the day, he debunked. I feel like he debunked it. So yeah, man. So
so we all know Salah's mentality too. Salah's you have to set up security roadblocks to get Salah from not wanting to play in a game.
Well, I would hope because I would hope because we had a game on. When did we have the game on Saturday or Sunday?
So we have I'll pull that up. We have it.
No, the game that just passed. The game that just passed. When was it? On Sunday or
that was Saturday? The game that just passed was Saturday.
So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days. I would assume so because we're in the business end of the season. Training isn't really a thing. I think it's more of reviewing tapes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Say that again, brother. Say that again, because some people don't recognize that. Some people don't recognize the fact that training, you have to have off days. You have to have some types of recovery days too.
Yeah, so I would assume like when it comes to like one game a week, you train, but when you have a game every 4 or 3 days, you
Just
don't.
recovery.
Yeah, it's recovery. It's not like I at that point. Like if
That's
I find out we're training within the past 3 days, I'm gonna go on a rant and stuff because no
no,
because physically speaking, like what are you doing? Like you're setting us to fail at that
yeah,
point. But I
but
would
Chris,
assume. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
no, you are saying if we're doing that, we won't. Like this is what
Yeah,
Klopp
exactly.
always talks about.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-season. He says, just give us a pre-season. Stop making these stupid competitions up that ease into the summer and all it. He said it. He said it. I think about 3 years ago, when we were kind of hitting our peak and really pushing City. Um, he was asking questions, and he said to a reporter, he said, "If you think that the football me and Pep Guardiola are putting out now is good, you should see what we'd be able to put out if you just gave us 2 months in pre-season."
Right. Right.
That's they even in pre-season, it's like we don't have time. Like that's when they work on all their shape and all their tactics and all of that,
Right.
and a lot of fitness. So then by the time, because Klopp, it's what Chris is saying, Klopp knows that once that season kicks off, it's game, day off, recovery, maybe some light training before the next game, some tactical work, then a game, then recovery, then a game, then recovery. There's no time for shape. There's no time for let's invent some new tactics and change everything.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it's just recovery. It's just,
Yeah.
you dial it right down. You take the intensity right up in preseason, and then you dial it down, you dial it down, you dial it down. There's very little time for anything other than getting people in and getting them fit to play because they know their jobs, they know their roles. You keep them ticking over. So you've just got guys in doing a bit of running. Yeah, there's no high intensity stuff now. Why would you need it? Why would you need it? But Chris, just one thing you were saying about people saying it's we need to concentrate on the league game and the cup final isn't that important. Like of course it is, but I think what's happening there is because of the injuries, people are being forced into making that distinction in terms of who they would play in which game. It's like if we had a full squad, we go, no, we're cool. It's Luton and the boys can play here. Now it's like, oh well, look, if we must play him in one of these games, do I want Luton? Because as you said, if we don't
Right.
beat Luton, we should be able to say,
Prioritizing.
yeah, you said, oh, if we don't beat Luton, we shouldn't be saying we're able to win the league. So Luton is massive. Like for me,
Yeah, of course.
it's not looking to City, but 6 points against Luton and Forest before we play City is massive.
Mhm.
And it's just this stupid thing where this is a double game week for us. It shouldn't be, but it just ended up that way. We shouldn't be playing this Luton game now. We should have been playing Brentford and then just playing Chelsea the following weekend. But they shoehorned
Brian,
this Luton game.
I read something on that, Brian. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently we decided to play the midway game.
We had to. The game was rearranged because of the cup final.
Right.
And we were basically probably offered, well, you can have this or this.
Yeah, exactly. And we chose to play on the
So,
weekend and stuff. Well, we chose to play on midweek because when you really think about it, right? Like scheduling wise, Europa League is going to start again for us, so it will be difficult for us to fit in Europa League games. We're still in the FA Cup as
there's
well.
usually only 2 slots. There's
Yeah,
usually only 2 slots, and again, if these FA Cup games, if we go through in that, that means we'll get another double. We'll get another blank in game week 29.
yeah.
Is where we would have been playing. So that becomes a double game week for where you then have to squeeze 2 games into another week. So it happens again, and we're more than likely going to beat Southampton, right? So that will happen.
Yeah.
And this is what Klopp is on about. It's like you're asking us to perform, but you're asking us to do it every 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honesty's got a shot for you. He says, I hate this mentality of bin cups for only the Prem. No, I want to compete for every trophy because if you put all your eggs in one basket, you could be left out. You could be left with 0 eggs. I'm an LC fan, not a Spurs fan.
No,
No, we don't bring up.
honestly, I
We don't bring
completely
up.
agree. This mindset. This is why I'm saying I might not be in YouTube for long because some of people's takes, it like everyone knows me. I'm negative, but like if we want to sit there and put that to the side and be logical, right?
Mhm.
It's like okay, let's bend the cups because of course the cups don't count for our trophy count and stuff for history because winning the Carabao Cup won't add to our trophies and stuff, and it won't be added to the wall in the training
Well,
facility.
it is.
Oh,
No,
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 it
no.
is.
I'm being sarcastic and stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being
I got it.
sarcastic because these cups don't count and stuff. They're not important. So yeah,
But
forget them.
I haven't heard anyone say bin the cup. I've heard maybe someone say let's prioritize the league match.
No,
But
I've
anybody
heard
that
some.
says,
I've heard some.
I've
I
heard.
understand
yeah,
what Chris is saying.
Now
Chris
I've
is what
heard.
Chris is saying is accurate because I've
No,
heard,
no, I've
and I'm
heard.
talking about some big name, some big channels on the internet have been
Yeah,
saying that they
well,
utilizing somewhat your
it's,
wording, Brian, where they say I wouldn't prioritize it, but then some of them say, you know what, I'm more like as if we had to make a choice of playing our youth players, our youth academy players in this game as opposed to a league game. They all say they rather see it be in because a lot of people have been putting the FA Cup game against, I guess Southampton, right, as a
yeah.
game that we just kind of like, we lowly prioritize and
which is
put in as
crazy.
many substitutes as possible to get everyone back to fitness and health. And that's something where I'm just like, I don't know what I don't even know what that means. Because like you can't, there's no guarantee that we win any of these cups,
No, but
technically.
12th man, right? 12th man,
Or
right?
any of the silverware. Go ahead,
The
Chris.
12th man and Brian, right? Like, do people not realize that, right? So, um, let's say for example, we do, which would be crazy if we decide to not prioritize these cups and just focus on the league. It doesn't guarantee we win the league, and that's where I get confused when people say, "Okay, the league is more important," which I do believe we do need a league. Like
Mm-hmm.
for all the stuff we've experienced over the years, we deserve more league titles. That's just
Mm-hmm.
me. So winning a
Mm-hmm.
league would be big for us, in my
That's
opinion.
that's where a lot of this comes from, Chris, because a lot of older Liverpool fans are just completely and utterly obsessed with winning the league. That's all they
Yeah,
care about.
yeah, of
And
course, of course.
it's not. And when you catch them in a quick conversation or something like that, they might say, "Ah, look, yeah, forget the cup, forget the cup. We win the league."
No, but,
You
but
know,
that's
but
that's
that's
the wrong mindset, though.
no, but that's just the kind of a people who aren't on a 24/7 kind of mindset. This mindset.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
say
exactly,
the
exactly.
cups are the league, they go, "Oh no, Liverpool win the league." It's that's the top thing, and that's the top thing. Like the league is the thing. It's always the thing, but you don't bin them off. You try for them. You do your best to win them all, but you don't play like you don't go the other way where if Salah is half fit and he needs a rest, but we have a cup game, so you play him. No, you don't go that far. You keep it balanced. We should have enough to beat these types of Southampton teams anyway. But yeah,
Exactly.
the league is top priority. But you play like I'll say the next game is the top priority. You got to win
Right.
that,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
look at Chelsea,
Yeah,
and then you
exactly,
just see where
exactly.
you are every week after every game. You see where you are, and then
Yeah.
you go
That's
on.
what
No,
I'm
but
getting at, Brian.
that's the thing, right?
That's,
So just to finish my point, right? Is like
mhm,
okay, you want to abandon everything else to focus on the league, right? But
mhm.
it's like it isn't guaranteed we win the league this season. I know 12 man like stats and stuff.
We have a good
Right.
chance.
Our longest win streak
Mm-hmm.
with no draws, just wins is 5
Mm-hmm.
this season. 5.
Mm-hmm.
So w- where do we get this chest that we're gonna go 13 straight wins?
No, I don't believe that at all. But
It's
I
not
don't
gonna
think
happen. It isn't gonna
no,
happen.
no,
So
no,
to
no.
sit there and
It's
say we're
not.
gonna, it's not gonna
It's not.
happen. So like, and technically speaking, that's what is needed and stuff. Well, not really technically, but mathematically speaking, it's not needed. But
But people are saying the same about City. Like, oh, you have to do it because City are going to do it. Well, how do we know City are going to do it? Just because they did it before?
exactly,
Like they drop points at the weekend. They
yeah,
still have to play us. Like they can. I don't think they're as good as they have been, and maybe they'll be better next year. But I think they're capable of dropping points
yeah.
more than at any other in the
Yeah.
last maybe 4 years. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a vintage league. I don't get this. Yeah, oh, Liverpool are going to have to win 13 because City are going to win 15. They might, but I don't know, man. They look pretty ordinary against Everton for 70 minutes. They look ordinary against Chelsea.
Honestly,
But
I think
the
I
thing
think
about
this
it,
season.
okay, so I want to definitely figure out some stuff because I like stats too, like Chris said. Um, the longest winning streak this season has been Manchester City with 6 games. Longest current winning streak is Arsenal with 5. The longest unbeaten streak is Liverpool with 15. The longest current unbeaten streak is 9 by Manchester City. And then longest losing is Burnley with 6. Longest current losing is West Ham with 3. Longest winless is Sheffield United with 10. And longest current winless streak is Everton with 8.
Yeah.
So I can understand what you guys are saying about the winning streaks, or what's to say they're going to go on a 12 game or 13 game winning streak, or even some of those win streaks they've pulled off from past seasons. I guess it's the same remembrance of the fact that they have performed. And I know this team is a different team. I know a lot of the reason why some of us have chest now that we could possibly win this league is because because of those reasons, as the team is not the same trouble winning team as before. We've seen City has looked somewhat flat as of late. Haaland has been missing some opportunities, and he's not. There's been other players that haven't necessarily been firing on all cylinders like they normally do. However, it's the sheer fact that that they have done it before, and I get it. They haven't done it this year, but who's to say they just don't? This isn't the time when they do it. Like I said, I guess the easiest way is just win our games, and we win the league. Simple as that. I get that the likelihood of that happening is not exactly high, but all the same, that should be the mindset: is win every game.
I agree. Yeah.
But that would be the mindset.
And then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Tough Man.
The mindset should be win every game, but the mindset should also be don't expect to win every game. That's the way I'd say, because there'll be a slip somewhere, and just don't lose your mind if we do, because they could be playing 2 days later and they could slip. Like I said at the start of the season, and I stand by it, that we were going to win the league for 2 reasons: the caliber and the quality and the kind of backbone of the players that were leaving Man City in Gundogan and Mahrez, and who they were replacing with was younger versions, and the fact that KDB was going to be out for half the season. I thought it was going to be a bit of a gap here for City, potentially, before Doku was a year older and better and whatever, that kind of stuff, and they've gotten someone else in. I just thought they had players out, they had new players coming in, and they might be focusing on the Champions League. I thought it might be a good time to catch them cold. If we were good, we had to be good to do it. And I still stand by that, because they still do look a little bit like that to me. Like De Bruyne didn't start again tonight. He's going to come in. He's going to maybe come on and change this game if they're not doing well. But if we keep, like you said, if we keep putting up the points on the board, then there's not a whole lot they can do about it. Especially if we can beat them at Anfield and take 3. That'll be a really big thing. If we go keep the 2-point lead to Anfield and then go beat them and 5 ahead, I think.
And the fact that City has to play Arsenal as well.
Yep, they do. They
if they get a draw or something like that, then that helps us out immensely. Or
don't count Arsenal out of this race. Don't count Arsenal out of this race either.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, either way, because like Arsenal is still within firing distance of us. So
5 in a row. You said it yourself. 5 wins in a row currently. They've scored 5 goals in both of their previous 2 games.
The current longest winning streak right now. Yep, exactly.
Yep. Scored 5 again. The weekend.
Here's some chat comments. I want to definitely I'm going to say these chat comments since we have Columbia represent in the house. I would like hopefully you can stay for. We're only going to be on here for another 25 minutes, so hopefully you can stay for that. Marion says, "I just want a parade. I don't care how I get it."
Okay.
Come over to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. We got you sorted for parades everywhere.
Let's see. Honesty says we can't say we won't get we can't say we got most trophies in English football. In that same breath, say the FA Cups or Caribou Cups don't count. Those two trophies are the reason we got more trophies than Manchester United.
Exactly.
Let's see. Honesty also said Trent and BVD, and I heard this comment too, and I was so happy to hear our captain and our vice captain both like with chest say this, but said this at the start of the season, we want to compete for every trophy. Plain and simple. And Trent reiterated that too by saying it twice, actually. City
Great comment from BBD today about Kelleher as well. Sorry, on the subject of BBD comments. He said today Kelleher was world class.
Oh, that's
there you go.
Hey, that's quality, man. That's quality. Cool. That's real. That's a captain style. Knowing that he needs, knowing that we're gonna have to rely on this keeper. That's issuing some real.
Giving him some confidence. Yeah, it's a good thing to do. Yeah. Do
you believe this comment? He says Alexander says City look found out. Real quick, your comment, your takes on that. Brian, do you have or Chris?
I don't think they've been found out. I just think they're just a bit more vulnerable. They lack a little bit qualities in certain positions and stuff. So I guess
I have a comment too, but go ahead.
But I guess that can be looked at as vulnerability, I guess, but I don't know.
Brian, you have a comment?
Just go back to what I said before. They just look like they're in a bit of a, they're transitioning between Mahrez and Gundogan, who are two of their most important players. Like Gundogan's clutch for them last season, always has been. Mahrez, De Bruyne slowly on his way out now. Pep said he'll be used off the bench more than he would have been last season. So it's a newer kind of thing. So I just thought it was a good time to catch them cold before they kind of regroup and become a stronger team. I just not about being found out. No, I just think they're in that dreaded kind of transition period that coaches talk about. The old out with the old and in with the new, and sometimes it takes a season.
What was the other question? Said Alexander says, oh, and I have a take two on it. I'll say it after this though. It says Alexander says I'm worried more about Arsenal than City. That's a that could be a shout considering Arsenal looks very much in form and they've like neutralized that that goal differential too right now. But what I was going to say about the comment about if City look found out, I don't think that necessarily they're found out as Chris has pointed out. I think more so, and something that I think that sometimes when I hear the comments and I hear the dialogue or the the back and forth between a lot of people in the chat or even on some of these channels, sometimes I feel as though they look at Liverpool in a different light or as if we're on some different plane than every other team like Arsenal and City, and not recognize the fact that Arsenal and City are in the Champions League. So, I mean, when it comes to a lot of what they're dealing with in the rigors of the scheduling or rigors of schedule, for instance, City have 3 games this week, as well. So it's not like City have some cakewalk of resting players or resting these players.
If I'm correct, 12th man as well, I think Arsenal has 3 games in 7 days or something like that, or 8 days, because they play Porto, then Brentford, then Porto again. I think if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing about it. It's not like they're playing. It's not like they're playing a Sheffield United or something, or or a Millwall or something, in an FA Cup fixture or something crazy like that. They're playing European top-notch talent. So that means that they got to bring. It's going to be a difficult game. It's an important game as well because it can't slip up on points or slip up on opportunity to take the win. Those are important games. So there's no oh well maybe we should just focus on the league and not really focus in on Champions League. That discussion isn't even being made for them. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, it's tough at the top. That's what you got to get used to. Of course, you can say City it's hard to feel any kind of sympathy with them. You look at their bench tonight: Nathan Ake, Mario Kovacic, Jeremy Doku, Kevin De Bruyne, Mateus Nunes. That's not bad, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I know they don't have a striker under or whatever, but that's just. I think they're concentrating on the Champions League a little bit. They've taken their eye off it a tiny bit as well. Maybe the motivation isn't there to keep going. Like, to win a treble, that was one of my other reasons why I thought they'd drop off, was because they'd won the treble. And that adrenaline, and that when you come down off that, it's hard to kind of go right back to work the next day and go, right, lads, another treble, because you know what it took to win the previous one. It takes a bit of warming back up again, maybe. So I thought the stars were aligning a little bit for City to have an off season, and an off season for City might just be not finishing with 98 points. It might be finishing with 90 points. But it's still 0-0 against Brentford.
Yeah, I see that.
Haaland has gone a little bit cold. Yeah. He will wake up. It don't matter.
Continue.
Yeah, hopefully for up until there. But we know he'll wake up at some point and he'll start banging them in again. But De Bruyne not being on the pitch makes a big difference for him.
This is a great question, and then I want to, and this might be a good segue into what I have as scheduled for the last 20-some-odd minutes of the show. Big up to M. Tarmizi. He says, "Big up, gents. Do you think promoted youth players in clubs like PSG and Newcastle are actually thriving because expectations are less on them than their expensive signed counterpart players? For example, he gives Lewis Miley, for Newcastle, or Warren Zaire-Emery for PSG, or even Cassady for Chelsea." Brian, do you have an opinion on that?
Cassady, I believe, has been recalled because he was doing so well on loan. It's an interesting question. It's not something I'd have an immediate answer. Are they thriving at these bigger clubs?
Because expectations are less.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Young players that come in have always been massively backed by fans. They get that. And you would be kind of thinking that these days there's just as much pressure on them, focus on them, spotlight on them than there ever has been. But maybe there is, at the highest level, there is, they get a lot more leeway, and these days I suppose the pressure on the bigger guys is more. So I suppose I agree a little bit, but also it shows you the kind of quality and the level and the coaching that's going on now, is that these guys that are coming through are able to handle it as well. But I suppose, if you're in a band and it's not going well, and all the focus is on the lead singer, you can sit away in the background on the drums, and it's nice. It's nice not to be the focus of attention. If
you could be the Phil Collins, Phil Collins.
You can kind of come in and if it's not going well,
eventually get your own role.
You're not going to be the first unless somebody's crazy fans, but you're not going to be the first target. They're going to go for other people. But
or maybe Peter Gabriel. Maybe is Peter Gabriel a better shout? I don't know.
Well, no, Peter Gabriel was the very flamboyant frontman when he was in Genesis, and when he Phil Collins took over vocals. But Peter Gabriel used to dress up as a giant flower and a dragon and parade around all over. So he was the Darwin Núñez, causing chaos and getting all the attention.
That's hilarious.
Just sitting there in the background. But I think definitely it's always easier for a young kid to come in. I don't think it's because of the negatives, but I just that the other guys get more flack. But I mean, Connor Bradley, man.
I guess he was trying to make a comparison too about Matthias Tell of Bayern, highly rated, performing better than the likes of Sane, for instance. I can understand what his comment is. So this is the segue then into what I wanted to ask too, because this is something. So my whole thing about the Everyone hates Chris comment, and
Not
applying
you,
that
Chris,
to
by the way. Chris Angel, not you, by the way.
not Chris Angel, right? Not our Chris Angel. No, there might be a few out there, but we on the panel and we in the chat, we all have love. We all have love because I mean, you got some people always. I mean, there's not many people that like Darth Vader. You know what I mean? No, just what I really meant by that is Lucho has been getting some thrown under the bus comments as of late. I get that Lucho has, he has his fans and he has his definitely his not so much fans. I don't know how to even put it. His he has his haters and he has those that really appreciate or highly rate Lucho. I say that because I was watching a public one of my more favorite channels, and they got into speaking about basically speaking into some things, and out of nowhere, one of the commentators or presentators started just talking about how Lucho is underperforming. He's not like this. He's not that. And he's trying to make an emphasis of saying he's not saying he's not good, but everything that he said about him was pretty disparaging against him in a sense, like saying how he's like, oh, he makes bad decisions. He makes this. He just brought out all the bad points. Didn't list any good points. Just brought out all the bad points, but then said, oh, but I'm not saying he's not good. And I was kind of like, you kind of are. By what? Like you're not saying it. You're not necessarily giving a ringing endorsement of the player. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I'll allow for you guys to comment and chime in, because I know, Brian, you have a certain opinion about Lucho. I know Chris has a very it's
a love-hate relationship. It's a love-hate relationship.
Yes, exactly. A very passionate love-hate relationship with him. For many other reasons, especially since he represents, he's the star boy on the national team right now for Colombia. But why I got into it is because, like, it's very interesting how sometimes we'll say, oh, well, we can't compare him to other players, right? Like, let's not compare him to other players, right? But yet, often when we rate him or say what it is that we're missing from Lucho, it's often people will bring up Mane first and foremost. They always bring up Mane, and I'm like, they're two different players. They're two different types of players. They offer different skill sets. Like, it's not a fair comparison, especially not fair comparison to compare someone to a legend, and then and a player that's actively still somewhat in the prime years of his career, like as in to say, oh, we're going to compare him to a legend who has already established that legendary status for his play. And then why I bring that up is that at the same time, I personally, and I heard one of the other presentators bring up this defense of Lucho too. Name a better left wing in the Premier League at this very moment. Name a better left wing in the Premier League at this moment. And that I'll have other things to talk on, but I would like to definitely say, I put that to the chat. Brian or Chris, you want to answer, or I'll go first. Brian, would you like to answer that, or do you have a nominee?
I'll go with I'll think on that for a second. I'll go with the first point. My general opinion on Diaz has always been, like, those report cards you used to get when you were in school when you're younger, and it'd be like good, but there'd always be a little box where they could check for could do better. It was always like, he's really good, but he could do, try a little bit harder, and he could do a little bit better. That's all it's what it was with Diaz. It's like, yeah, you've shown me that you can do the dribbling and the passing and the shooting and the scoring and all of that. So a bit more of it'd be good. I don't expect, through the roof numbers, not 50 goals a season like all crazy talk, but just up it a little bit. So all I ever wanted from him. It's like high standards. It's maybe asking too much. I don't know, maybe, but just contribute a little bit more. And now he's been, the assists aren't there, but the goals in the last what was to say 4 to 5 weeks started to come in a bit more. So it's like, okay.
Here's a helpful suggestion. M. Tarmizi saying even Matoma has been inconsistent this season.
Yeah, like it's, but the thing with players, just one thing you can't compare players to players is that you can compare some players to other players, but when football fans are talking about players, it's the only thing you can do is to compare him to somebody else. It's how football works. It's like, is he? He's better. Yeah, so it's the only go-to really. You can't kind of just talk about him completely on his own. It's like, well, if you look at this player, he does this. It's just kind of short. It's the only way to really do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's always been a really like all of the attributes are there, but just needed to show it a little bit more often. And some people say a bit more selfish sometimes, but just beat a man a bit more and just create a little bit more. But he only needs to up it by a little bit. I think he's kind of like halfway, more 3/4 away to what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he can definitely score more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
got 9 goals. Got 9 goals. Got 9 goals all comps this year.
Yeah, it's good. It's not amazing. He could be in 18 goals, but with his quality and in the team that we're in, with the chances we create, a little bit more luck, maybe a little bit more selfishness. I think
that's
he had the thing that happened. He had the injury. So give him 6-8 months of playing. Well, I think he should be 9 goals should be more like 15, 16, and the assists, whatever they are in the league, he's probably got I think around 4 or 5 maybe. So he should be 8 or 9, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking him to break world records, but it's not. It's because I think he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can do it. But you can't compare him to someone like Mane. But
I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to compare him to Mane.
I can think of 2 people. If you're talking about sort of at their very best, like absolutely, like their best game playing at their peak.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jeremy Doku, Neto, and Matoma, especially Matoma last season, are all top quality left wingers. I'm not saying they're but I was just trying to think of some there. I was thinking there's not that many, but I think those 4. I can't. Am I? Is there something?
Jeremy Doku. You said Jeremy Doku.
Doku, Neto. Who else did I say? I've already forgotten his freaking name.
I think you only said. That's why. I think you only said those 2. That's why.
No, Matoma, Doku, Neto, Matoma are all on their day when they're when they're at their best. Are all excellent left wingers.
Okay. So
not saying that they beat him, but I'm just saying he's doing that.
And Matoma.
Is there anyone else? I don't think we're forgetting. I'm not. Chelsea don't really have. I don't. Arsenal. Well, no, Gabriel Martinelli's a good. Yeah, Gabriel Martinelli. He's a.
Martinelli does not have better statistics right now than.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying he has better stats. I'm just saying like he's a really good left winger.
I got you. Yeah, I know. Because I know people because there was an early shout for Martinelli and everything else. Martinelli has not had a good season. Not had a good season.
He didn't have a good. He had an excellent season last year, but it hasn't happened for him this year.
Right.
Who else has good left wingers? Bailey and Diaby at Villa. They're all right. They're pretty decent. Yeah. You see, I'm getting picked apart. I'm just saying.
You got 0 goal, 0.
People need to listen to me. Right? I said, at their very best in an individual game on their day. Okay, if people are going to start throwing fucking stats at me about Jason
Sugar Brian, people.
Listen to the statement. Don't If I speak in general terms, broaden your mind a little bit and allow general terminology to get and work it out yourself. Don't come back with individual stats seriously. We just in general conversation of how many good left wingers are there in the Premier League? And
Right.
I think that's kind of it.
Hang
on. What side does Eze play on? What side does Eze play on? Left or right? He's a good winger.
I think he plays on the right wing, but
yeah,
I'll
I think he does play on the right. I think he does play on the right. So, I don't think there's anyone that's like, I don't know, whatever. I like Neto. I think he's a really good player. We're very interested.
Neto's a good shout. Neto's definitely
according to the big man. According to the big man Romano today, we're in. There's us, Tottenham, and Arsenal are all very interested.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised, but he said the reason he was saying that because he was saying Neto will leave. He is leaving this summer. That is 100% guaranteed. So the rumors are about but he is leaving. So rumors have it.
Maybe because I think. Well, I don't know if Wang Hee Chang is Tarmizi's shout. Maybe
he's a striker. He doesn't play left wing.
Yeah.
Not for Wolves anyway. He would. He's
right.
Central striker.
He's saying, and Alexander is saying Trossard is in better form.
Son, what are we thinking? We forgot Son. Yeah, Son
doesn't play. That's because Son plays striker for them. Son doesn't play.
Oh no. He has recently. Son played left wing when Harry Kane was at Tottenham. So that's basically 6 years.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Well, I'm just saying now he's transitioned to the striker position for
Richarlison is playing up front now as well, so Son is playing left too. So Son on his day, I think, is still Son on his day is still the best left winger in the Premier League. Yeah, I completely forgot about him. So yeah, Son is unbelievable.
Chris, but to Lucha's defense, we've now struggled to try to bring up some names, albeit Son's as a shout. Certainly a concerted shout, especially if you're going to play if he's.
That says more about the league, though. That says more about the league than it does about Diaz. Just because we can't name Mbappe, that's just because those players aren't in the league.
Well,
So if you're saying European football, if you open it up to European football, then I think people could. But this is like being designed to turn me into a Darwin hate or Diaz hate show thing. And I like the guy, and I think we should keep him. But I don't want to.
He's here, so feel free to talk.
Yeah, I don't want to overrate him.
You're not talking behind his back. He's here with us. So.
No, I'm not trying to overrate the guy either. I'm not going to say other people who are excellent footballers aren't excellent footballers. Son is excellent. Neto is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're not talking left wing. And to be honest, I think Son is more of a left front three than just an out and out wide man. Like Son scores. Like Son can share the golden boot for God's sake. Only 2 seasons ago.
No, I'm not saying that Son is not a concerted shout for, especially when he's playing alongside one of the possible greatest scorers, or one of the best scorers, if not greatest scorer of the Premier League history.
He's outscored him in individual season. He's done it on his own. And he's done it for.
I personally don't think that Gordon is a better player. I don't think that Gordon is a better player than Lucho. But that's just my personal opinion. I might have a bias. I don't know. Someone might say that's a Reds bias or something like that. But I do not rate Gordon. I think Gordon is underrated. I think Gordon is a good player, but I just don't think that he's a twat. He's not nearly the. I don't think he's at the level of a Lucho, to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion.
Gordon would do your head in. He's a diver.
That's one of the things I hate about him. He wears Speedos on the pitch all the time, and I'm just like, dog, are you playing soccer? Are you playing football? Or are you about to go swimming? Like, stop diving. Yeah. Jared Bowen either plays right wing or he plays striker. He doesn't play left wing, but honesty. That's his honesty. Honesty asking that question. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, I don't know if Chris is there. Are you with us, Chris?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Just make sure. Do you have a name to add to that list, or?
The name I want to know is that who said that stuff about Lucho and stuff. That's the name I want to know.
Maybe I'll
Because
put that in the private chat for you.
no, it's okay. You know what I mean? But it's like
You know him. That's why I'm saying it that way. So
I do know him. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
he has,
it was so crazy that when I started, with me, when I started typing, all of a sudden I had like a small op-ed editorial, basically of a comment, and I'm just like, I was just saying to myself, all right, maybe I'll hold off on sending this. Maybe I'll just send this to his DM. I doubt he'll even read it in his DM either. But
yeah. In regards to like names, I think it's not just the league. I think in the world, there's not really enough quality in certain positions anymore.
mhm.
So like to sit there and say, oh well, name a better left wingers. There's not really much out there, to be honest.
Mhm.
No, it's not. It's not overstocked at the moment. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's just one of those positions. Like you look at right now, like strikers in world football. Just in the world, there's not really many good strikers in the world, to be honest.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's just
no,
I think
we're living in a world, Chris. We're living in a world where numbers wise, Dominic Solanke is like the third best striker in the Premier League,
yeah, which is crazy to say because
behind Ollie Watkins.
he was in our squad literally a couple of seasons ago. So
That's the level that now. Tony is back; he'll start banging in. But like you've got Haaland, uh, then you've got Nunes if you want to say Nunes in cheer, but then you've got like Watkins, Solanke, Tony, Chan. Like those are the big strikers in the Premier League. Right? That's weak.
yeah, it's a bit weak and stuff.
Well,
Even if you look at this season, like the league and stuff, like the world football, like even Vinicius, we know he's world class, but this season he's hasn't been that great. You know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
I think he's
so
unsettled a little bit there, maybe. But it's not a vintage time for strikers. It is not.
Emperor Missy saying it's either certain football playing positions are lacking in terms of the pool or possibility redefined the role. I guess
the,
he's
the
saying.
thing I think the thing with I think the issue people have with Luis Diaz, the issue people have with Nunes, I think those are the two names that kind of do get a lot of criticism with the squad.
Mhm.
I would say Trent. I would say Trent gets
Lately,
more.
yeah, lately Trent as well. Yeah, lately Trent as well has been getting a lot of criticism.
I'd put Trent even above Diaz because I get the Diaz. There is Diaz people out there, but I don't think it's like when the Trent stuff is
Yeah,
OT.
but just touch on the Diaz and Nunes is because they brought in technically they replaced, I guess,
Legends.
they replaced players that in some people's eyes are considered legends, world class,
Mhm.
cemented in Liverpool's history, blah blah blah, which is all true and stuff. But it's just like, why do that to yourselves? Like, why compare?
That's the question I have. That's
Like
a
why
major
why
question
do
I
that?
have.
And I think not to say that we're spoiled because I don't think we're spoiled at all. But it is a very spoiled like mindset to sit there and say, well, Firmino did this, Mane did this, so I expect whoever comes in to do this. And it's very like that's not how the world works.
It's
Never going
not.
to replace the Bobby.
You know what I
Like
mean?
No.
Like that's not how the world works. And then it's like, and then so this is where I usually throw logic at people. People get upset and they stay quiet because they don't have rebuttal. And it's like, okay, you have an issue with Diaz, you have an issue with Nunes, but the
Mhm.
manager that you sit there and say can do no wrong keeps picking them. Why? And they have
But
no answer. And they have no answer. So whatever Diaz is doing, Nunes is doing, in Klopp's eyes, it's working.
it's
Whether
working. It's
it's wor-
obviously
it's
it
something that
is
he
something that he values.
it's something that he
Klopp
values.
as
So
an
whether
evaluator has evaluated Diaz's performances and what he offers on the pitch as to what it is that he wants. I can't
exactly,
emphasize that enough. If Diaz wasn't performing at the levels or what he wanted, Diaz would not be playing. Just that simple. He wouldn't.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, of
But
course.
people make it as if like he's underperforming. Let me say this. Unless are you done, Chris? Because if
No,
you're
no, I'm
not,
not
I'll.
done. It's just to touch on the fact that
Mhm,
like what Brian says, just to agree with Brian.
mhm,
Statistically speaking, he can do a lot better. And
mhm,
there's no going like no one can tell me otherwise. Diaz can do better numerically speaking, number wise. He can.
mhm,
Now, some of the decision making he does make is frustrating, but it is what it is. So
mhm.
you know what I mean? Like if you want money out of him, you're not going to get money out of him. And any other player that you bring in isn't going to be Mane. So let it go. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but it's kind of
No, well,
it's a
can I?
very tiring conversation. It's like,
No, I
oh, but
get it. I
he
get it.
isn't
I get it. I
Mane.
get it.
He
I get
isn't
it.
Mane. Like, no, he's not Mane. He's never going to be Mane. Nunes is never going to be Firmino. Like, move on. What's the point of what's the point of buying new players and starting a transition into something different if we're going to keep reminiscing about the past?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think even the most kind of uneducated Liverpool supporter realized that there was no buying someone to do what Bobby did. Like Bobby's numbers weren't amazing. Like Bobby's numbers were really
Horrible.
not
Like,
to write home about. But they
yeah, this
knew
guy's
it
great.
was they knew he was such a one-off player that we weren't going to even try and replace him. And I liked the way that the club went and bought someone like Nunes who's stylistically completely different. So it's an obvious don't even try and compare this guy to Bobby because we're bringing in a different tool to do the same job. But it's
Right. Right.
it's Bobby is just like always do it. Harry Kane a little bit without the way he's dropped deep and nip play, but just very few players do that. Diaz isn't stylistically a million miles away from that. He's not a completely different style of player, but I think also the fact is that the peak football we were playing under, sorry, not
Yeah.
under what while Mane was there is quite different to the football we're playing now. Like Diaz back in that kind of earlier Liverpool team would have been, I imagine, getting a lot more chances and a lot more goals. It's just
Mhm,
we also changed our style of play a little bit, so it
mhm.
involves more kind of like more possession, more keep control of the ball, and that also probably affects because remember he was here for 6 months while Mane was here,
Yeah.
Hmm.
so
Oh, I know.
he
Oh, I
played with
know.
him as well, and Mane went
It
central.
could be. It could be the reason also why Mane was pretty much solidified, or more so solidified, as thinking we don't have to push Mane to the left. We have someone for the left side. So
Oh,
if
he
you're
was
going
on
to say
fire when he came in. Luis Diaz when he came in, absolutely on fire.
on fire, yep,
Electric, yeah. Hmm.
yep.
And I think that's a little bit as well that's come into it because people are kind of going, "Where's that guy gone?" That might be some
Okay,
of
I can understand that.
it, too
Too
many
many injuries.
was.
Yeah, too
That's what
many
I'm saying.
injuries
Yeah,
later, and
that's what
I
I'm
get that.
saying.
Too many
Yeah,
injuries
I said
later,
everyone. That's
and a
it.
kidnapping
Yeah. Oh,
later. Yeah,
I mentioned that earlier. He's
yeah,
had the stuff done. See, like people. I mean, remember, like again, I'm talking about people who aren't on this 24/7.
yeah. No,
It's
totally, totally.
just the people who just kind of have short memories. Who go, well, he used to be good. Why can't he? Maybe
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to make excuses for these people. I'm just trying to, maybe play devil's advocate a little bit. But it's what,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, no.
people.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
But we
that.
all know it's like, wow, that guy. Yeah, that was. We thought we had something kind of special on our hands.
Right.
Gakpo had a great start, but yeah, look, he got the knocks and they set him back.
And that's the
He
thing.
was off and out.
The commentators, the first more so than the second that I mentioned, but the first, because I put it in the private chat, but the first more so was saying that he's good, but he wants more. He wants. I guess maybe got a little taste of what it is, and he wants
I just
more.
saw the
The
name, man.
second,
I
different
just saw the
story.
name. I just saw
I'm
the
Yeah,
name.
the
going.
second, different story.
Me and
I'm
him,
going to
But
guess.
always go at it.
I'm
yeah,
going to guess before I read it. Then I'm going to tell you if I was right or wrong.
no, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't
No,
say
I'll
it.
just tell you whether I was. I'll guess to myself, and I'll tell you whether I was right. And good evening, Tom Boland. By the way, good evening.
Yes, big up, Tom. I was going to say this. You know what's funny, or at least my
Yeah, I was right.
biggest, my right, my biggest defense of Lucho. Okay, and that's why he comes over, I guess, and hangs out with me here. is because of this. You know, despite the fact that we're the first team to have 4 players reach 10 plus goals this year in all comps, right? Lucho has 9, okay, in all comps. So he's knocking on the door to make us have 5 players, which is pretty incredible in itself to have 5 players with 10 goals all comps. But even going beyond that, okay, it's the sheer importance of the goals he scored this year for us. It boggles my mind that people so often forget about the impact that he has had with the goals he's scored. And what I mean by that is this, and this is, I'll read from somewhat of my editorial thing that I wrote to him. Basically is this, they're important goals because Diaz scored. We are undefeated in any game Diaz has scored in. Let me repeat that. We are undefeated in any game Lucho has scored in.
We're undefeated in a lot of things, though. Just to cut in, like we're undefeated in any game Darwin has started. We're undefeated in a lot. Like we're there's a lot of those things.
Started. I'm just saying played. Started and played are 2 different things. But yes, I'm saying played because why I say that sheer comparison is this. You know, listen. So first off, Diaz's goals have the games that he scored in. There's 9 games, 6. We have 6. 9 goals, 6 wins, 3 draws, 0 defeats. Okay, we have point average of 2.33 games won. He has 3 game-winning goals for us. Okay, and on top of that, if you listen to or if you look, and I went through all the goals that he scored earlier in the op-ed here, and basically you look at the goals that he did score, like as in he scored the Bournemouth goal, but like let's first off talk about the fact that the Spurs goal that got unfortunately taken away from him could have been a monumental goal, but let's not. That's spilled milk. Okay, whatever. Let's move on past that. I don't want to be called like someone that keeps going on about that game. But he scored the goal in the opener against Chelsea, in the 1-1 draw against Chelsea. People forget about that. He scored the equalizer in the Bournemouth game. People forget about that. Albeit the last goal was is what it is, but it was a great header. I'll admit that. But he scored the equalizer in the Luton game. Like, people forget about that. Okay, cool. All right, if that's your thing.
Everyone remembers that one. No one's forgotten that bloody game.
Right,
that
because
game
at the time of certainly because of the time, you would think, but people somewhat overlook those things in my perspective. And then the Arsenal game, he scored FA Cup game, albeit it was just a definitive moment goal. It wasn't necessarily like a winning goal per se, but it was definitely a great taking goal and everything else. Yada yada. It was a really great goal actually. He had the semifinal. He had the equalizer in the semifinal against Fulham. People overlook that. It's like important goals in important games. You recognize that if we didn't have Lucho, if Lucho's goals weren't scored by him, you know, who knows if someone else would have scored them or not. But I'm trying to get across the fact that he did score them, and the fact that if he didn't score those goals, we're not in this title race.
Why do I feel like we're a punching bag for this other channel at the moment? I think you should be delivering this speech to somebody else.
I know, I will.
No, man, I get you. I'm with you, man. I know. Because we spoke about this the other night when we're talking about goal scorers. And we're talking about like that guy that has 15 goals in a season against the guy who had 9 goals, but the guy who scored 9, like 8 of those goals were either winning goals or equalizing goals, whereas the other guy, it's that guy, he always scores, the 3rd or 4th in a 4-1.
Right. Yeah.
Like you got, definitely recognize, especially any kind of, any match winning, definitively match winning, like a 1-0 or even that Luton goal to come back. Yeah, you have to recognize the importance of goals without a doubt, not just judge them on their numbers. That's what we spoke about the other night. It's not just sometimes the importance of these goals outweighs some guy that always comes on, for Man City when they're winning 3-0 and gets the fourth and the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that guy that can pop up and actually make a difference in tight games, that's worth twice as much.
Yeah. That's the reason why I was like, I hear these comments and I'm like, I think Diaz has picked up statistically, obviously, from his numbers when it comes to, because they were commenting on his defensive output and his offensive output. I think Diaz has made a bigger commitment to his defensive presence. I just personally, in numbers wise alone, I could bring statistics, but then someone will be like, "Oh, eye test, da da da." I'm like, "All right, cool." But realistically, even in eye test, you see him more active in his pressing, more active in his in tracking back. The guy played. Albeit it was because he had to, but he ended up playing left back at one moment for us, in a game for us, like the guy is doing his thing. And it's one of those things, again, his goals have been important goals. Like, guys, and it may be a different story, but, because he scored in both Chelsea matches, albeit the goal in the Chelsea match was whatever. We controlled that game and it was whatever. But considering, that he has had some really important goals in games where if we're not getting those draws and those are losses, we're looking at a different perspective on the league this year. And that's something, that's why I was saying what I was saying. I know I will be bringing this up on the one channel. I don't know if the other guy will have me on to discuss this, but all the same, I will be bringing it up. But I wanted to just say it because I know you guys have Chris with his love-hate relationship with them. And I know, Brian, you don't necessarily have a hate relationship with them or something like that, but you definitely are someone that knows he's good, but you just want more from him. So I wanted to just see what you guys think.
About, pretty much 90% of our boys. I'm just looking. He had just in terms of basic stats, he had 26 goals in 77 games for Porto.
Mm-hmm.
So he was never lethal, obviously. So but he's kind of on track. He's on 13 goals in 54 so he's probably kind of on track for what he normally does.
Right.
I know, right, a little bit easier to score goals in Porto.
Brian, why can't we also, and Chris, you can answer this too, but Brian, why can't we also, the same defense, because you heard it from me, the same defense that we utilize for Nunez, for instance, why don't we ever really offer that for Diaz? And what I mean by that is, I remember the Everton game. I think this was last year though, but at the Everton game, I got a lot of flack for calling him the man of the match for that game when he got when he put who was playing right back for them. Help me out with that. He got him sent off in that game. He got
Ashley
Young, yes.
Ashley Young. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in that game, I was saying how, he was such a problem, and especially against low block teams, he is actively the most creative player with his dribbling and ball control out of any player on our team, I think. And because of that, against low block teams, especially when you have to deal with just, self-creation in a sense sometimes, he is possibly the focal point, more so than Mo Salah is in games like that. And, he opened up a lot of different things for us in that game. I've been saying about the fact that, albeit the same accolades we give to Nunez for him being able to open up channels, be able to create opportunities for people simply by making the runs and doing the different things that he does. I think that is what we see, or what we can sometimes see with Lucho, in the fact that he is able to take on a guy, or he's able to do that, to do those kinds of do those types of runs that are going to possibly create those opportunities, or create the space for those players to get the goals that they need to get. And they might not be from his assists, but it might be something on that tense. And one of the points that was made on the show was, I just don't think that we're going to get anything from Cody and Diaz. You know, I don't think that we can get anything from them, considering that we're going to have to rely on them going forward. You know, with the injuries that we have to our squad. And I'm like, did you not watch the last game? Because I remember watching Lucho give Cody a pretty impressive assist. You know, but yet we don't give him credit for that. Those things why I got triggered, I guess. So those are the things. If you guys want to comment, I know I said I want to stay. We're gonna only want to hang out for a couple more minutes, but if you guys want to, I'll allow for you guys to comment on that.
I can't help anybody that sits there before we've even played a game and says we're not going to get anything from Diaz and Gakpo, especially after you've just seen what you can get from Gakpo. So I can't help anybody with that kind of mentality. That's just saying stuff literally, like that's, I don't know. You've turned off some kind of function in your brain, and all the words are just coming out together. It's demonstrably untrue. I mean, that's just like, there was someone made a comment last night, and it was, don't be surprised if we lose the cup final versus Chelsea. So what they're saying is, they're not saying, I think we're going to lose the cup final versus Chelsea, and here is why. And put an argument. All they're saying is, don't be surprised if it happens. So if we do lose, they can come in and say, I told you, I said, don't be surprised if we lose the cup final versus Chelsea. But if we don't lose the cup final versus Chelsea, they're never going to bring it up again. You know, they just want to be able to say, oh, Diaz and Gakpo, they'll be no good. So if whatever happens, they can say, see, I told you, I'm really clever about football. I saw it coming. You know, it's just total nonsense. Just to try and say, because if these things are wrong, they never ever mention them again.
Oh, trust me on that. I already know that part and point. You know, many people. It's the same reason. It's the same thing about all the people that were like, were endo haters in the beginning of the year, and now all of a sudden they like you said, they have Japanese flags and like, you know, all these different little, like, I saw one of the guys that was doing that has a Japanese kit. I'm like, wow.
It's YouTube 101. It's YouTube 101. If you're wrong, never mention it again. Move on.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's pretty funny. Oh, man. Tom says, for a winger, Diaz is averaging a goal nearly every 3 games, which is not a bad return. It only looks bad because of Salah's return from the right side.
Well, there's a lot of that as well. There's a lot of deference to Salah in this team.
Yeah.
We saw that when he left. Not that we were better, but you can see
you look at the touches. If you want to look at the touches that he gets early in the year, the touches were, Salah would get almost twice the number of touches that Diaz would get in the beginning of the year. When Salah left, you know, obviously Diaz's touches went incredibly up in number. So all of a sudden now, a lot more of the offense is going through him. A lot more of the opportunities he's going to have before him, and he gets these chances. But yet, like, you know, obviously Salah's going to come back, and those touches are going to go down somewhat. And I can understand some of the people's takes of, oh, we're a more balanced team because of when Salah's not in the team, or blah blah blah. I can understand it from a number perspective of touches, but I don't co-sign that. I think that's just hogwash with that stuff. But anyway, Chris, do you have a final thought on that? By the way, I want to make sure that you get a say before we clock out here.
Nope, I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't think social media is for me and stuff, man. Sometimes people takes are kind of like weird, man. But everyone has their favorites. Everyone has their agendas. So it is what it is, man. This is the world we live in. So
yeah. You sounded. I didn't mean to. I know you said that your internet or your time on the intraweb or whatever they call it nowadays, whatever
intraweb, yeah.
You know, might be limited by these kinds of interactions, but
but I
was gonna say your presentation is necessary for us to have any semblance. You, Brian, like you guys, you know, it's necessary for people like yourselves to be a part of the dialogue, because if not, then it's going to be overwhelmingly those kinds of takes. It's going to be overwhelmingly those kinds of like perspectives that are just like, are you just saying that to get a rise out of someone? Or are you just saying that just to speak? Sometimes people talk. Sometimes people say things just because they want the opportunity to talk or be a part of the discussion.
Well, no, like Brian said, right? They want to be the first to say something, and then if it comes out true, they're the messiah and stuff. They know it all type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They want it's like in a way they're Liverpool fans, but they want us to fail so that they can get all the attention, which to me is crazy to me. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that is a part of it for some. Yeah,
you know,
it is kind of They're more they care more about being proved right and winning arguments online.
But that's in the unfortunate way. That's how the algorithm works in YouTube, man. If you say something crazy,
honesty is bang on there. It's the negativity that sells. Positivity doesn't sell. Negativity sells.
I should probably make a channel then. I'll get 100,000 very easy.
You should. That's what. Hey, you know what? You probably You'd be like, you'd be on some Mark Ulbrich style like number.
Yeah, man. I have.
But see, the thing is, Chris, you'd have to take your inherent negativity, and the problem is you'd have to dial it up to 1,000 and do it every night. Like you'd have to be ranting and shouting and all that. That's
you have to be like The Rock.
I can't see myself. No, but I can't see myself. I can't. At the end of the day, man, like how the hell do I look like screaming and stuff?
That's what it is.
That's crazy to me.
Oh man, but all right. Well, big up to each and every one of you that showed up in the chat and showed love by sticking it out with us through the talks and everything else and what we're saying. Let me make sure I got all the questions answered.
Apparently City's winning right now 1-0.
Oh, see, well, here we go. Anyway, I didn't necessarily want to be that's kind of a downer, but let's leave on a positive note. Chris, thank you for your
man, no problem. Anytime,
valued
for you guys,
contribution, medical contribution, and also just your dialogue, like I said, to the channel. I appreciate it immensely.
No, bro, anytime, man. I got you.
Brian, thank you as always. Brian, Brian and I have some cool content that we're going to be putting together. And we also Chris too is going to be a part of it. We're going to be bringing back another revamped version of not necessarily the Anfield Cup, but it's going to be definitely we're going to do a couple different little versions of it of that fun little exchange. I didn't mean to bring back bad memories, Chris. I know that.
Oh my! You make it seem like I'm a sore loser or something.
No. I didn't mean to bring back bad memories. That's all. I'm not trying to make it like you're a sore loser. Never that.
Chris, you should name your next dog Panenka.
Yes. Yeah, or name him Walker or something like that, or something. Yeah. But big up to both of you. Big up to the chat. Same time, same place. Actually, so tomorrow is the game. I'll be doing a preview tomorrow. The game's what, 7:30, right? 7:30 in the UK, I think.
Tomorrow. 7:30,
Yeah. So tomorrow I will be doing a presentation at I'll be doing a preview at 6:30. I don't know if Brian if Brian you're around or Chris you're around, you're more than welcome to partake in it.
For what? My bad. For what?
I'm gonna do a preview of it. Are you guys doing a watch along on the Beijing TV?
They mentioned something yesterday that they're gonna be busy, but I think I'm gonna be available. So I don't know. I might do a watch along tomorrow and stuff. So yeah, it's probably gonna be just me and stuff. So it'll probably be crazy and stuff.
Okay.
I don't have the adults watching me and stuff. So
I got you. I'll be at my. I'm gonna go down to my local boozer for the game.
Okay.
But if I don't, though, hey, I'll help you out if you need some help for sure.
Oh yeah, cool.
But yeah, so yeah, we shouldn't have talked about Holland earlier, but whatever, because apparently Holland it was the goal scorer, but all the same. Big up to everyone that joined us today. If you're watching this on the replay, definitely put in your comments. Maybe you have a different take on Diaz, or maybe you have you want to voice your support of Diaz. Definitely add that in there. Other than that, yeah, let's get a win tomorrow against Luton at home, and yeah, up the Reds, right? So
Yep.
until tomorrow, I will be seeing you guys. All right, take care, guys.